Air is a 2023 movie directed by Ben Affleck, starring Matt Damon, Affleck, Marlon Wayans, Chris Tucker, Jason Bateman, a bunch of 1980s and beyond figures. And this is a story, which you can read in the description, of Michael Jordan signing with Nike, the shoe company. At the time in 1984, Nike had 17% of the shoe sales market. They were a jogging shoe, but they're going to transition into the basketball shoes, which I guess everybody today knows about. And Damon plays Sonny Vaccaro, a representative for Nike who has this vision, this idea of signing Jordan. 1984, Jordan's coming into the NBA, which is exploding in popularity, and he sees in Jordan this great player whom he can market to Nike. Nike has some tough competition with Converse as the number one shoe, Adidas is number two, and they aren't into basketball shoes. There's a description at the beginning of the movie, the Chris Tucker character says this, where black people don't care about Nike shoes because they're just jogging shoes. And so yeah, I'm a basketball fan. I love pro basketball specifically, and so I just had to watch this movie. I also love Michael Jordan. Now, you know you'll like this movie or not based on the trailer, based on the description. You know the ending of the story. There is zero tension, zero drama in this movie, at least for me. It would be for other people who have no clue about the shoes, Michael Jordan, and the NBA, and so on. But if you know the story, my goodness, there is nothing to worry about in this movie as far as Nike signing Michael Jordan and the underdogs getting their man. Therefore, why would anybody watch this movie? I can think of at least two reasons. You could just choose one or both together. One, this is a great business example movie. I mean, this is not as good as Ford versus Ferrari, another movie that starred Damon, which I quite liked a lot. But it is a pretty good middle-brow movie as far as showing the inner workings of corporate deals, management deals, taking risks, investing, and so on and so forth. There are umpteen thousand of these in all the business self-help books. Yet this is a really good movie as far as an example from like a business book that's trying to motivate, give ideas, give vision, and so on. I would take this movie definitely over probably 99% of all business books ever written. And so I can see it used in, corporate outings, business retreats, as in a movie that gives you an example of how to conduct business well. But the other reason to watch this movie, this may be a stronger pull given where we've been in a ridiculously long 1980s boom, Gen X nostalgia. The movie has 50 different songs from the early 1980s of a wide variety. It begins with Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. It ends with Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. More on that in a second. It opens with a montage of a bunch of corporate products, advertisements, other kinds of iconic things you might have seen in the 1980s had you been there. So this movie is dripping to me. Not dripping, it's soaked in it. 1980s nostalgia, and that's probably the number one draw for this film. I like Damon as the chubby schlub who's the underdog in this movie. I like Jason Bateman in this movie. This movie does do a weird thing. It likens Michael Jordan, I don't know if it does this, to Jesus Christ. I mean, in Ben-Hur, for example, you don't see Jesus Christ himself. You see just the backside or reflections of him, shadows, and so on. That's exactly what this movie does. You will not see Michael Jordan, even though you should in a couple scenes. It makes zero sense that they wouldn't have him be there or talk or have his character or likeness there. And in the middle of this movie, probably 70, 80 minutes in, they do this shoe reveal, and it's really a commercial advertisement, in my opinion, where they show the original 1984 Michael Air Jordan shoe. And it's this like valorization, it's this love of the corporate product that you're supposed to continue to buy. And that's always the problem with movies like this to me. They are corporate advertisements and free advertisements at that. It's hard for them to get away from it. I feel like there's a tension between art and commercialism in these kinds of movies. And we've had a bunch of them lately, not just Ford versus Ferrari. There's been a Tetris movie, Super Mario Brothers for Nintendo. There's been a Christian Dior movie, and the list just goes on of these sort of products that here's how they originated, here's how the inventors or people promoting them got the product to be a good product, or people fall in love with the product. Shoot, we're going to have a Barbie movie in a couple months coming out. So I find mostly there's a contradiction between the commercialism and the art, although in Ford versus Ferrari, I think it was only a tension. Here, yeah, I feel the commercialism, and the giant problem is that Nike has had a lot of accusations about its conduct, especially overseas, in Asian countries and poor countries. How do they do their business? How do they treat their workers? And yet this movie, in the end, it really is saying, look at how charitable everything became. Nike, Phil Knight, the Michael Jordan Foundation. Look at all because of the shoe deal, all the stuff to charity. And so you get this weird tension between Nike and reality. We don't know their business practices. They might cuddle up to communist dictators. But according to this movie, this deal was awesome for everybody, and it's awesome for you. You got an awesome product. Continue to buy it. And a person could come away with that just from this movie, I don't think that's all this movie is, but it's pretty easy to watch that way. And I think this movie rhetorically doesn't make too much sense. Did they listen to the lyrics to Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, which plays over the ending credits and plays over that little montage where it says Phil Knight donated $2 billion to charity, Nike and charity. So you got the sort of colonialist lyrics of Bruce Springsteen along with the charitable messages about how great Nike is. It's a very strange mix, if not contradictory. And then just to bring out Money for Nothing opens this movie, which I've always taken that song to be a critique of commercialism, actually music and commercialism, the mixing of art on MTV and commercials. Is that not what this movie is? So it's one of those things, if you think about this movie a little too much, you will have a field day analyzing it, as I have. But really, as a message movie, it's pro-Nike, and it is like pro-business, showing you how you might take risks. All in all, this movie is for those who are into business, those who are into the NBA and shoes. But I gotta say, if you like men's dress shoes, and then you look at the Nike shoe and you don't care much about basketball, you're gonna be revolted at sort of the valorization of this shoe, which doesn't look as great, frankly, as nice men's dress shoes. Oh my goodness, how many opinions do I have? You know, I would call this a 2.5 to 3 star movie. It's a solid middle brow movie that does some things well. But you can't think too much about it, otherwise that might ruin the entertainment experience. But I do recommend thinking about this movie and all its strange rhetorical choices as it talks about Nike and its opening as a business in 1984 versus Nike today. That's what I think about this movie. What do you think? Let us know in the comments, and please subscribe to this channel for more great content and reviews. Have a great day.